Welcome back to part 4 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where today we are heading into the Sector 7 slums to catch up with Tifa, a name that's been mentioned a couple times up until this point, and rendezvous back at base to, get paid as our job as a mercenary. The Sector 7 slums acts as your first real hub-like area of the game. There's two, the later one is far bigger, but we'll get to that when we get to that. This is like the first one, and I'm going to level with you right now. As someone who grew up with the original Final Fantasy VII and holds the original game extremely close to my heart, this game made me cry a lot because of how much it honours the original and brings it to life in this new way, in this photorealistic style. It like remakes everything that I imagined it looked in a way that it now looks that way. Because back on the PS1 in '97, we always had the image in our head of how things would look like if we were actually there, compared to the the drawings we walked across, the CGified drawings we explored through, for lack of a better way of putting it. But now we actually get to see it, and I'm going to bring it up because there's two moments in this video that made me cry on my original playthrough.
Fires everywhere.
Huh. Mako is the lifeblood of the planet? Yeah, the hell it is. Goddamn eco-warriors with their dumbass posters. I tear them down and they're back up inside of an hour, like I've got nothing better to do. I mean, look at all that steel work. You trying to tell me that's not progress? What the? You okay, buddy? Mako junkie, huh? Figures.
You again.
Oh, it seems those weird ghost things followed us home. But anyway, talking about moments that made me cry, we're approaching the first one. This very next little scene that I'm going to shut up for, I had to stop for like a minute because it genuinely made me tear up. Just, if you played the original, you know why. Oh, every time, dude. Every time. It's genuinely, like, I can't put it into words or explain why it has such an impact on me if you don't know what nostalgia can do to you like this. But it is what it is. This game had so much significance to me in my youth that seeing it realized like this now, it does bring it out of me. It does it a lot.
Arlene. Daddy, you're home!
That's right, Angel, I
Welcome
am.
back.
Have you been a good girl?
Yeah, I've been helping Tifa.
Oh, you did you? Well, well.
You made it. Where'd you get that? I can't remember the last time I saw a real one. Huh? How sweet. When did you get so thoughtful?
A guy can change. Has been 5 years.
Huh?
I need to talk to Barrett.
Right. Come on in.
Daddy, the Mako place blew up. Everyone on TV's talking about it.
Don't you worry about all that silliness. Daddy's here and he's not going anywhere tonight. Now turn that thing off and let's get you to bed, huh? Yeah, your money. Ask Tifa. She takes care of all that. Hey! What the hell you
Barrett.
think you're doing scaring my daughter like that?
Daddy says never talk to strangers.
That's right, honey, I do say that. What a good girl you are remembering Daddy's lessons. You know what else good girls do? They go to bed on time. Come on.
But I'm not tired. I want to talk some more, Daddy.
All right, but just this once.
So then, what can I get you?
My money. I'm still waiting on it.
Right. About that, we should talk outside.
How does Marlene have like Disney level quality voice acting? You know what I mean? Like for you know the kid characters in like a lot of Disney films. I'm not a big Disney person, but you know what I mean? Like she has that voice like down to a T. But here's the introduction to the jukebox. Throughout the game you can collect these very like dynamic and different remixes of classic Final Fantasy tunes, starting with that remix of Tifa's theme. But when you come out you can talk to Tifa and see where we need to go. I love Tifa's redesign. Her modern redesign in the remake I think is a perfect balance between modernizing a few elements that were a bit odd from the original, while at the same time completely harnessing the original spirit of it. I love Tifa's design in this. I love every single character's design in this game. I feel like the character modelling and the character art was perfected to a T throughout this game, because there isn't a single character, outside of the ones that are, you know, intended to look ugly, that I think look bad. Like, the characters that are intended to look ugly do look ugly, but if anything, that's just a compliment once again to the character artists to make it so convincing. But all the characters that look good look fucking good. You know, I mentioned in the previous video that Barrett looked amazing. When he took his glasses off, I was like, that man looks gorgeous. He looks great. Why does he look so pretty? But Tifa looks great. Cloud looks amazing. I think Cloud looks really good. The flower girl, just in case you somehow don't know her name, so I won't spoil it, she looks fantastic. All the characters in this game look amazing, regardless of whether they're a main character or a side character. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, all three of them I think look great. It's like, you know, like I genuinely don't think there's a character design that I think is poor in this game for main or side character. I feel like they nailed it for everything. But talking of things that they now nailed, this is the biggest evidence that it's the PS5 version and not the PS4 version. The PS4 version, rather infamously, had things like low-res doors and low-res flowers because they hit the absolute maximum load the PS4 could handle in terms of technicalities. If they put any more detail in anything for even a speck, for even a pixel, they would have went over the maximum load. So something had to give to make it so they could keep the game at a stable 30 frames. So they literally low-res smaller things like doors and flowers. But we've got another rather lengthy scene coming up, which blew my mind that they decided to do this, because it was always the "this guy are sick" dude in the next door, but they go with it.
It's a little bare, but should be enough to get you through the night. If you want anything else, we can always get it.
There's one thing. My money. You guys owe me 2,000, remember?
I do. And we'd love to settle up, especially since this was your first job for us, but...
That's it?
Sorry. We spent the rest preparing for the mission. That really is it. But not for long. I'm collecting money for filters tomorrow, so I can pay you after.
And you're sure about that?
Of course, as long as you help, that is. Wait, then I'd have to pay you for that too. Never mind.
No, 2,000's enough. That's what we agreed on, so that'll be the price. With what you gave me, that leaves 1,500.
You're the best. I'll see you bright and early at the bar then. Thanks again for everything. Sleep tight.
Guess it's time for introductions. Hey, you okay in there? Oh. Coming in.
What are you doing to Marco? This is his apartment. He's got a few problems, but he's not a bad guy. The landlady asked me to check on him now and then to make sure he's okay. Can I ask you to do the same?
Sure.
My mind fucking was blown, dude, when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, they did something with that guy. But now for the next moment that made me cry when I originally saw it. It's getting to actually see and hear the music and see this world, to see the lower plate of Midgar in natural daylight after only imagining what looking up would have been like. Because that's the thing, in the original 7, because it was all artwork and whatnot, never in the game did you ever get to, just look up and see the plates with the day kind of cracking through and everything like that. It never happened. You never got that. Because it was just artwork that you were running across, so it was always from like a top-down perspective. So the fact that you actually get to see that, you finally get to see it be fully realised and understand what it is instead of having to be told that's just kind of how it is. It might, yeah, no, I had to take a minute. My mind was blown. I genuinely was just like, oh my god. And just to add to it, instead of playing the Sector 7 theme from the original, like, remade and whatnot, they play a remix of Final Fantasy VII's main theme. And that's something that they do a lot. They make subtle changes here and there. The entire soundtrack that usually plays in Midgar is here. It's just it's used in different ways to be more engaging and more dynamic. As we meet with Mild there, the landlady, who has got a little bit of a roughness on her edge, but I love her the bits. She's an amazing new side character. If you hurt Tifa, I'll take it out your hide. As we head all the way back over to Tifa's bar, 7th Heaven. There's just a cat outside. Remember that cat, there's a side quest involving it later. If you see a white cat with a pink collar, remember it.
Morning.
Hey.
Just so you know, Marlene's still asleep. Let's get down to business, shall we?
Huh?
These water filters won't replace themselves. Although the next batch probably could, if Jessie put her mind to it. Most every home in the area has one. Folks love them because they practically eliminate the rotten egg smell. Honestly, they make us more money than this place. And it's easy money too. We bring new filters, collect the old ones, and get paid. What?
Give me a break. I'm not a salesman. I'm a soldier.
Which is why no one will refuse to pay. What do you say? Please?
Let's get this over with.
Great. And while we're at it, I'll give you the grand tour.
Something that I want to give a huge credit and compliment to with 7 Remake, and if you've played the compilation of Final Fantasy 7, you understand why this is such a big compliment and why I'm making a point in saying it. This game understands the Final Fantasy 7 cast. The writing understands how they were in the original 7 and writes them off of that. only changing things that are outdated to be modernized, because there are a couple things from the original 7 that they aren't gonna keep. Like Tifa drops an R-bomb in the original 7, and so obviously they weren't gonna keep that in the remake because times have changed. That was never gonna stick around. But they understand the fundamentals of what every character should be, whilst the complicated nature of everything that came afterwards really didn't, in a lot of ways. Some of it did okay, like Crisis Core I'll always kind of defend because I think it did alright. The only thing that harmed it was Genesis. I think Genesis, if you remove Genesis, Crisis Core would have been an amazing prequel game to the original 7, but Genesis just kind of taints everything. But Zack felt like a Final Fantasy 7 character. He was amazing in Crisis Core. It's why so many people love him so much, because he felt like a really charming Final Fantasy 7 character. He wasn't just moody or one note like most of the 7 cast became after 7. Advent Children, like everyone takes the mick out of like emo Cloud and whatnot, but that's not too far from the truth. They did make a much darker, moodier and like depressed version of Cloud, which although canonically made sense for Advent Children, still was kind of like, oh, this isn't Cloud. I like yes, Cloud is moody and gruff, but there is a lot of little charms to his character. You've already seen little bits of it, like when he, like at the end of chapter 1, we like managed to escape that explosion and Jesse compliments him when he grins because he got complimented, so he just grins at himself a little for a second. Like, yeah, that's what I'm like. There's still a lot of charm and little subtle characters to it, but Tifa, a lot of the things that come after treat Tifa as like the gruff tomboy like character, when in reality she's probably one of the most soft-hearted and wholesome characters in the original 7. She has a heart of gold and genuinely has a love for the people around her. Like that gruffier side of her, this I can punch out anyone, I can always be ready for a fight, was just kind of shoehorned in by the people who wrote the stuff that came later, and so it didn't fit. The flower girl we met, I don't want to spoil her name just for somebody even living under a rock, but the flower girl we've met and everything else she appears in the compilation, they make her a real like airhead, and that's like the only thing for her character, when she's probably the most savvy character in this game. Like she's the most savvy person because she knows how to live the streets of Midgar. She knows how to look after herself. She might have a very soft voice and be softly spoken and be very like a sweetheart kind of person, but she knows what she's doing and she knows how to handle herself. I know I'm talking over this little scene, I kind of don't want to, but it's really charming that Marl is giving Cloud shit and Tifa's only telling Cloud off. It's like, be nice. He's like, I'm trying my best.
Now, your money.
Thanks, Marl.
But to be honest, it's nice to be able to, as much as I absolutely love doing the voice acting for characters in a lot of projects, especially if you've been with my channel for a while, you know I like doing that. It's nice to have a Let's Play where literally every single line in the game is voiced, so I don't have to do it. It will only be reading like text documents and things like that where it will be different. But this game really went all out in every single tiny detail, so even like generic background dialogue was entirely voiced. They didn't skip on anything. And I love as well going through Sector 7 that the weapon shop has still got like the big weapon sign on it. The item shop still has the big item sign on it. This guy's a moody son of a bitch though. Case in point.
We're so sorry about that.
Well, you still gotta pay up, dude. That's why Cloud's here, because Cloud can just threaten him and be like, then just sell your build, we'll be on our way. Yeah, that's right, Tifa. Let's get our stuff and go.
You charging me for your busted-ass goods?
So this is why you have Cloud here, because Cloud has a giant sword on his back. Look. I like how he still tries to play it tough until then. And then there it is. There's our 200 gil. That's it. 200 gil. That's what he was arguing to not give up. Yikes. You'll learn, if you've ever played a Final Fantasy game, doesn't matter where it is in the franchise, 200 gil is like 200 yen. That really isn't that much.
What do you want to do?
Don't really know.
It's not a direct conversion like that, but like gil numbering and how it works in the Final Fantasy series, it's easier to compare it to yen than anything else, because that's usually the sort of right price conversion. Like something would be like 1,000 yen, and you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like you never look at it and go, like, 1,000 yen, that's extortion. I'm never going to be able to afford that. You can't look at 1,000 yen and be like, oh, that's like one side quest, you know.
How do I start?
But this is introducing something that is what we're going to be spending the next couple videos on. As a mercenary, we need to build up our reputation. This is entirely a plot jargon thing, so if you don't care for it, you don't have to do it. You only have to do like one side quest that is like the first one that's introduced to you, and then that's it. You can immediately advance the main plot if you so choose. You can go straight back to 7th Heaven, Tifa's Bar, and you can wrap up there and move on. But I'll be doing every single side quest as we go through this, so we'll be doing Tifa's recommendation more detailedly. We will be doing everything to build up our rep, and you will notice as you do more side quests, more general dialogue will bring you up. Your name will start to get out there as it goes on.
Huh. Didn't know you were holding down the fort.
Huh? Oh, hey, Cloud. Looking to join the neighborhood watch?
That depends. What does this neighborhood watch do?
Lots of stuff, really. But our top priority is taking care of any beasts that wander into town. That, and teaching the locals how to defend themselves.
Like they say, the only one who will look out for you is you.
Cloud's a great fighter, but only we know that. If no one knows him, no one will hire him. Thought if he joined the watch, he could get his name out there.
That would work for everybody.
Truth be told, we could really use your help. We can't pay you in gil, but we'll work something out. For example... Aha! What about your sword? I could mod it for you.
No thanks. It's fine just the way it is.
What? You some kind of purist? I know I'd never pass up a chance to improve my gear. Come on. At least let me show you how it's done.
I do choose to watch this tutorial just to remind myself, but I'm gonna level with you, and I know it annoys some people that I do this, but I always do it. I tend to put the upgrades on auto, because you can do that. You can essentially, what it's teaching you here is that you can upgrade your swords, or your weapons even, to give you certain abilities and attributes. Like you see with this one, you can see like attack power, magic, health, and a special skill is tied to it. So you can spend your skill points, which you just get from playing the game, so you'll naturally build up as time goes on, to upgrade your stuff more and more. I genuinely just put it on auto, which means as soon as my skill points hit the threshold to upgrade something, they do. And what I do is I put it on balanced and I just leave it to fix the problem for me. But that's the general tutorial. The next thing I want to talk about, and it's a tiny thing. Oh, I put it on prioritize attack right this second. Later on I put it on balance. Do I not put it on? I put it on balance. There we go. I was going to say, what, was I debating myself? When did I record this? I don't remember. But the theme that's playing in the background, Neighborhood Watch, is genuinely like a very underrated track for me. I know like I gloss about this soundtrack so much and talk about it like to the ends of the earth about how much I love it, but I don't know why Neighborhood Watch is just a track that just kind of like chills in the back of my head and I don't mind it. It's one of those tracks that does get in your head, but I don't hate the fact it gets stuck in my head. It's just a really charming track that has like a good energy and gives you a nice feel about what the Neighborhood Watch is like. Because it's essentially what Biggs and Wedge do when they're not out on missions, to help keep their strength and muscles up.
I know these streets better than anyone.
And Tifa's going to help us out. And Tifa Lockhart now officially joins our party. And she's like the second best character to play as. Cloud's my favourite character to play as, which makes sense, you know, he's the main character. But Tifa is a very close second. Tifa is a blast to play as in this game. And the sky's the limit with what you can do with her. Like, all of her skills blend into one another, and it's deliberately designed to lean into one another so you can make a combo involving not just her normal attack, not just deadly dodge, but her stance change as well with the triangle, which her one works a bit different than the Punisher mode with Cloud. I'll explain that when we get into combat. And all of her skills can be tied into one another and combo back into your normal combo if you want. But the way Tifa works is that her triangle will basically be in like an unleashing the power kind of attack. But there is a skill that costs ATB that will charge up that, so if you spend more charges to build it up, you will unleash more and more power. This weird kid here that like sounds like a robot will we'll talk with him more later. That kid's called Chadley, and he is tied to a not just a side quest, but something that you'll want to be doing throughout the whole course of the game, because it grants you extra materia that you can use in later parts of the game, and access to optional bosses much later on. But here's the scrapyard, or the scrap boulevard, I think they call it. And this is kind of like your early game grind, and you can also bring up the world map here, which brings up like this grid of Midgar. Like, it just really reminds me of like classic 7, where when you bring up the Midgar map on screens and whatnot, when you're like on the TV, or if you're in like the train trams and whatnot, that you just see that kind of grid-like effect. Oh, here's our first instance of like a bounded attack. When you're bounded, someone else has got to come save you. If you leave it long enough, they'll eventually do like a stronger attack and then hop off on their own, but that's extra damage you don't want to take. So here's a chance to show off Tifa. So Tifa's all about keeping up the flow and keeping up the combo, and she's probably the nicest one to play as when you get a flow for her. Like, once you get the rhythm, she's very satisfying to play because you have to work out that rhythm for yourself. I just prefer the blunt nature of Cloud, which is why I tend to prefer playing him. But I will, as the game goes on, take as much opportunity as possible to show off the entire party. Like, as we gain more characters and more people join, yada yada, I'll do as much as I can to show it off. Tifa starts with Chakra as well, a materia that's self-healing. In this main playthrough, I don't find Chakra that helpful, because I think there's better alternatives to heal. But I'm going to level with you right now. It's a technique to heal yourself that doesn't cost magic. When you go for the hard mode run, do it. Because hard mode has an interesting gimmick with it, where the magic you start a chapter with is the only magic points you have for the whole chapter. So every spell you use, well, you're not getting your MP back. You're stuck like that. So you have to be very reserved and cautious on what you spend your MP on and what you don't, to make it last a chapter. And then when you get into the next chapter, everything resets and you get fully restored. Additionally, you can't use items, so you have to be very wary, because if you get hurt, you gotta heal off somehow. And so having an alternative from magic, that being Chakra, is an amazing godsend. As in Chakra, it restores only your health by a set percentage, but if you can keep it around just as a background thing on your normal playthrough, it will be your best friend in hard, because you can max it out and make it so you get like 60, 70 maybe. I think it caps at 80% of your health back when you use it, and it only costs 1 ATB. The one that you're more likely to use on your normal playthrough though, and it's much later on, is Prayer, which is 2 ATBs to cost, but it's a group-wide heal that doesn't cost magic. Both of which combined make hard mode a lot more manageable, because when you're low on health you don't have to panic heal and then run out of magic for the more serious situations later on. You can save your magic for the most part for bosses and whatnot, or there's a particular encounter that's just giving you a lot of trouble. Being able to save it through Chakra and Prayer, so you don't have to worry about it later, does wonders. The only downside is because you can't use items and your ATB reset outside of fights, you can only heal in combat. You know, the whole Neptunia bullshit. But this is a hard mode restriction and not just a weird thing with the game like with Neptunia. But I say that, Neptunia was the other way around. You could use items outside of combat, you just couldn't use magic outside of combat. So it was just more annoying, because it's like, well, I have the spells, just let me use it, and it just wouldn't. But anyway, we're about done with this opening side quest that you kind of have to do. Well, I'll say that this one is mandatory main quest, is you have to do one proper side quest afterwards. But over here is the introduction to the main kind of gimmick with Sector 7. The more enemies you kill around the Sector 7 slums, the more it gets tallied up here. If you hit certain numbers, you'll be rewarded for it. The best reward being an MP up materia, which although it's nice to have, you know, being able to have more MP than usual, I barely bother, because the other two rewards are worthless to me. There's potions, which you can buy, and revival earrings, which I never use. The way revival earrings work is it's an accessory. When you equip it, when you get hit with a killing blow, the earring will break instead of you dying. But I genuinely don't use that. The same way I don't use the Cooper coin in Kingdom Hearts. It's just, nah, I'm good. I'd rather die and learn.
Back already?
Got every last one too. Now the slums should be safe.
You guys are machines!
Good job. Meanwhile, we told everyone we could about you.
So I heard. I've got to ask though, what did you tell them?
It's all right. All you gotta do is keep up the good work. It'll pay off soon enough, I promise.
How's the sword, by the way?
Good.
Glad to hear it. Seems like the perfect fit for you.
Yeah. We've been through a lot.
Oh. You okay?
I'm fine.
Been meaning to ask. After you left the village...
It's a long story.
I've got time. Why don't you tell me all about it while we try to rustle up some more work for you?
That sounds great. I'll come too.
Oh, no you won't.
What?
Run along now, you two.
Sorry,
Go on.
maybe next time.
Huh?
No fair.
Think about it for a second. They haven't seen each other in years. You'd be a third wheel.
But now we've done that, why don't we get our reward for our trouble? Tifa's going to mention now that if we go back downstairs and talk to the weapons dealer, because we helped him out dealing with those enemies, he will have something for us. And this is something that I underestimated on my first playthrough until I saw it with my own eyes. Like, I knew that, like in the original 7, you would get new weapons for every character and whatnot. I didn't realise that the new weapons would come hard equipped with new skills that you could learn to then use with other weapons. Because that's the thing, Cloud's Buster Sword technically has a skill attached to it, and it's the focus thrust. The only skill you start with technically is Braver. It's just it's implied that he's used the Buster Sword for so long he's already mastered the focus thrust. But with this sword naturally has triple slash attached to it. So we can use the technique triple slash as long as we've got the blade equipped. But if we use triple slash enough times, we will max out the proficiency of it, and then from there we can use triple slash with any other weapon, expanding Cloud's arsenal. The same will apply to every single character with every weapon. If you get a new weapon, or if there's an option to get a new weapon, always go out of your way to get it. Never skip on it for any reason, because there is always a reason for it. There's always a new skill to unlock, as the game shows here.
Since you've got yourself a new weapon,
so now we can get triple slash. So after this finishes, you're going to see me swap out weapon to the new iron blade. At some point I will come back to the Buster Sword. The Buster Sword in this game does a full circle effect. When all the weapons are max upgraded, the Buster Sword is the best weapon in the game. But when building up, every new weapon you get tends to be better than the last, with only one major exception I'll highlight when we get to it. So you can see, the only reason that the stats are slightly lower on this one right now is because of the materia. So we can alter that to fix that per se. And it's got an extra slot on it anyway, so why wouldn't you want it? So now we have the Iron Blade. And, well, now I put that on auto as well, I believe, to upgrade it. Oh no, I upgrade it myself first and then put it on auto. I need to, like, rendezvous with past me sometimes and be like, what are you doing? What's it on? Defense, HP, physical damage, and I missed the last one. Physical damage reduction. Oh, okay. So I think that one's just like when you're being comboed, it doesn't hurt you as bad. So I nabbed the HP one and the defensive one because why not? And then I think I put it on auto too. Yeah, I put it on balance. If you're not using a weapon, I would straight up just recommend putting it on auto, just so it's still building up. Otherwise, you'll want to swap to a new weapon for whatever reason, and you might forget or might not realize that you need to do all the upgrades again, and it will feel like a chore. And so I know that's a very personal thing. Some people like to very meticulously go through it and like plan out exactly what upgrade route they want to do and how they want to handle it, and that's perfectly fine, and I have more power for you. It's just I genuinely think the way the game's balanced, it works out regardless of what you upgrade and what you don't. And so when a game feels like that for any reason, if there's an option to have the game do it for me, I'm gonna take it, because why not? But this is the side quest that's not really a side quest. It's handled as one, but you have to do it before it will let you advance. Like I said, I'll be doing every single side quest, so it doesn't matter, but this is the one kind of introducing the idea of side quests, so you have to actually do it to prove the point. And then once we're done, we can come back and talk to Weimer, and there'll be more side quests. There'll be other people we can talk to around the slums that will also have little things we can do. Some of them involve combat, some of them are a bit smaller. I'm going to be honest, the side quests in Sector 7 I think are the weakest in the game. I don't think they're that interesting, but the side quests that come up later are far more. The game calls them odd jobs, which I find kind of charming, but they're just side quests, it's just what they call them. And now here's for Chadley's weird introduction, this robot man, when he's going to essentially give us something called battle intel. Throughout the game, there are little things you can just do in the background and work on, like stagger an enemy so many times, or use assess so many times on an enemy. Assess is the big one. We're about to actually get the assess materia, and you're going to see me use it as often as possible. There it is. I'm going to actually put it on my quick commands and eventually, and I'll use it as often as possible to assess as many things, because later in the game there'll be new battle intels, and one of them is like assess 40 or 50 different enemies. And so if I can get on that now, I will. So every time we encounter a new enemy, if I get the opportunity, I assess them to add it to the list. And later on, if you upgrade assess, as this kid casually implies that if you think I'm not trustworthy, kill me. You know, but whatever. But if you if you level up assess, it will make it so it will be used on every single enemy in a battle instead of just the one you're locked onto when you use it, making it far quicker to do its job when you get it there. But here's how it starts. I said at first it's just assess 2 enemies. So in the Scrap Boulevard, there's only like 2, I think, maybe there's a third that I'm just not remembering, enemies in there. So I take the bold decision to take Cure off and put Assess on it, and it's like when I get another material slot, I'll put Cure back on then, because it's early game so I can get away with it. Actually, I think I take Chakra off. Cloud is, yeah. If it comes up saying Cloud has it equipped, but you can tell he doesn't, it's because the game will remember what material you had on previous weapons. So as it stands right now, there is still materia on the Buster Sword, even though we've taken it off. So that's why it came up saying it's still on something Cloud has, because it was going to go that way. But I wrap it up here. So next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to go side questing to build up our reputation. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.